The sun does not rise in Arizona. It detonates. When the horizon turns white at 5:30 inches the morning over the Superstition Mountains, there is no gentle transition into the day. There is only the immediate, oppressive weight of the heat. It is a physical presence. It presses down on your shoulders. It sucks the moisture from your eyes. Stepping outside feels like walking into the exhaust of a jet engine. For the millions of people who live in the air-conditioned suburbs of Phoenix and Scottsdale, the summer is an inconvenience. It is a season to dash from the cooled house to the cooled car to the cooled office. It is a time to complain about the electric bill while looking out the tinted windows at the shimmering pavement. But for the thousands of human beings living on the streets of Maricopa County in 2026, the sun is not an inconvenience. It is an executioner. We are witnessing a slow-motion massacre in the Valley of the Sunday. We are documenting a crisis where the environment itself has become a weapon of mass destruction against the poor. In other cities, the unhoused die from overdoses or violence. In Arizona, they are dying because the world they live in has become physically incompatible with human life. Welcome to Phoenix Homeless Crisis 2026. Extreme heat and poverty push lives to the edge. Today, we are going to walk into the blast furnace. We are going to investigate the medical horror of contact burns, where the sidewalk becomes hot enough to cook human meat. We are going to look at the aftermath of the city's decision to bulldoze its largest homeless encampment, scattering the vulnerable into the deadly shadows. And we are going to track the gray wave of elderly seniors who are being evicted into temperatures that would kill a healthy person in hours. This is the uncomfortable truth about the hottest city in America. To understand the Arizona crisis, you have to understand the physics of the urban heat island. Phoenix is a sprawling, seemingly endless ocean of concrete, asphalt, and glass. During the day, these materials absorb the solar radiation like a dark sponge. In a natural desert, the temperature drops dramatically at night. The sand cools, the air refreshes. But in the concrete city, the heat is trapped. At midnight in July 2026, the temperature in downtown Phoenix is still 98 degrees. There is no reset button. The body never gets a chance to cool down. The internal organs never get a break. It is a cumulative biological trauma. Your heart beats faster, desperately trying to pump blood to the skin to cool off, but the air is hotter than your blood. There is no relief. Eventually, the cardiovascular system just gives out. This brings us to the most gruesome, unique reality of the Phoenix crisis, the contact burn. We visited the Arizona Burn Center, one of the foremost facilities in the world for treating heat injuries. But in the summer, the surgeons here are not fighting house fires. They are fighting the pavement. In the direct afternoon sun, the black asphalt in Phoenix can reach 180 degrees Fahrenheit. That is just below the boiling point of water. It is hot enough to fry an egg, yes. But it is also hot enough to destroy human tissue in a matter of seconds. If a homeless person collapses, whether from heat stroke, severe dehydration, exhaustion, or a drug overdose, and their bare skin touches the ground, the destruction is instantaneous. We heard stories from paramedics that haunt you. They described finding a man who had tripped and fallen in a parking lot. By the time the ambulance arrived 10 minutes later, the skin on his arms and legs had been entirely burned away. Survivors of the pavement require massive skin grafts. They are left with horrific, disfiguring scars that look exactly like they survived a blast furnace, because, essentially, they did. And the victims are changing. It is no longer just the young and the addicted. It is the old. We call it the gray wave. Arizona has always been a retirement destination. But in 2026, the cost of living has exploded. Rents in Maricopa County have surged beyond the reach of fixed incomes. Social Security checks do not cover the cost of a one-bedroom apartment. We are seeing a massive, unprecedented surge in first-time homelessness among people over the age of 65. We met a woman named Eleanor in a dusty, sun-baked overflow lot behind a strip mall. She is 74. She worked as a secretary her whole life. 2 months ago, her landlord raised the rent by $400. She couldn't pay. Now, she lives in her 2012 Toyota Corolla. Living in a car in Phoenix is a death trap. A car is a greenhouse. Within 10 minutes of turning off the engine, the interior temperature can spike to 140 degrees. Eleanor spends her days driving from library to library, hunting for air conditioning. "I feel like a fugitive," she whispered, wiping a continuous stream of sweat from her deeply lined forehead. "I worked for 50 years. I paid my taxes. And now I'm hiding in parking lots, terrified that my gas tank will run empty, because if the AC stops, I cook. I am literally afraid of the sun." Eleanor's story is the hidden tragedy. The people dying in the heat aren't just the visible homeless on the street corners. They are grandmothers dying silently in the backseats of sedans because they were too proud to ask for help or because there was simply no help to give. The shelter system in Maricopa County is utterly overwhelmed. A few years ago, the city was forced by a court order to clear The Zone, a massive, sprawling tent city in downtown Phoenix that housed over 1,000 people. The city hailed the clearance as a victory. The tents were gone. The sidewalks were cleaned. But where did the people go? They didn't evaporate. They scattered. They moved into the dry riverbeds. They moved into the deep alleys. They moved behind the industrial parks. By dispersing the population, the city made them invisible. But they also made them impossible to save. When everyone was in the zone, the water rescue volunteers knew exactly where to go. The medics knew where the patients were. Now, the unhoused are hiding to avoid arrest. If they suffer heat stroke in a hidden canal bed miles from a main road, nobody will find them until it is too late. And then there is the water war. In a desert crisis, water is not a beverage. It is a vital, life-saving medicine. But access to water is a constant, degrading battle. We walked the commercial districts and saw a chilling trend: hostile architecture. Businesses have removed the handles from their outdoor spigots to stop the homeless from drinking. Public parks have turned off their water fountains to discourage loitering. It is a deliberate, calculated strategy of deterrence by dehydration. But against this staggering cruelty, there is an army of angels. We spent an afternoon riding along with a grassroots volunteer group. They drive their own beat-up SUVs, loaded with massive coolers of ice water and electrolyte packets. They are the water rescuers. They don't wait for the city to act. They drive the grid, looking for the people hiding in the bushes, the people slumped against the brick walls. We watched a volunteer named David approach a man who was completely unresponsive, leaning against a chain-link fence. The man's skin was dry. He had stopped sweating, which is the final, fatal stage of heat stroke. David didn't hesitate. He poured ice-cold water directly onto the man's neck and chest. He rubbed ice packs on his wrists and under his arms. Slowly, agonizingly, the man's eyes fluttered open. He gasped for air. David saved a life that day, right there on the curb, with $2 worth of ice. "It's not politics," David told us, his own shirt soaked in sweat. "It's basic biology. A human being cannot survive this without help. If we don't bring the water to them, they die. It's that simple. We are the only thing standing between them and the morgue." But the volunteers are exhausted. They are plugging holes in a sinking ship. They are fighting a climate that is becoming more hostile and a local government that often seems more concerned with the aesthetics of the city than the survival of its poorest residents. Arizona is a testament to human hubris. We built a sprawling civilization of glass and steel in a place that naturally wants to kill us. We diverted rivers. We paved the desert. We conditioned the air, creating artificial bubbles of comfort. But the bill for that hubris is coming due, and the first people paying it are the ones with the least protection. The crisis in Phoenix is a warning to the rest of the world. As the planet warms, more cities will experience this. More people will be displaced by extreme temperatures. The climate refugee is not just someone fleeing a sinking island in the Pacific. It is Eleanor in her Toyota. It is the man with the burns on his legs. It is the thousands of Americans hiding from the sun in their own country. As the sun finally begins to set, the sky turns a brilliant, violent purple. The silhouettes of the palm trees stand stark against the fire of the horizon. It is undeniably beautiful, a classic desert sunset. But the pavement is still radiating heat. The air is still thick. The asphalt is still hot enough to burn. In the shadows, the struggle continues. A struggle for a drop of warm water. A struggle for a patch of shade that won't get you arrested. a struggle simply to make it to the morning alive. We cannot turn down the thermostat of the sun, but we can change how we treat the people forced to endure it. We can stop criminalizing their survival. We can look at the person on the corner not as a nuisance, but as a casualty of an economy and a climate that we all share. Thank you for watching this investigation into the Phoenix crisis. It is a story that burns, but we must keep our eyes open. If you believe that no one should die of thirst or heat stroke on the streets of America, please like this video. It helps us break the algorithm and expose the truth. And please subscribe to America's Uncomfortable Truth. We are committed to showing you the reality behind the heat waves in every city. Leave a comment below. Should access to drinking water and cooling centers be a legal right during extreme heat emergencies? Stay hydrated, look out for the vulnerable, and never stop demanding the truth.